It's just the first hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying every time I'm like, fucking hell, and then it's just perfect for the whole rest of the episode.
Great.
So change nothing except maybe a distance from the mic or whatever, just on the hello.
It's the O on the hello. It's hello. It's that bit there.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the O.
But
I love
it's you,
it.
and we
It's
love
just
it. We don't
too-
want
I
you to
love
not
it.
do
It's
it.
gorgeous.
Oh, no, now it's ruined. Now it will never be the same.
Turn it down and then turn it back up.
Yeah, right again. Like, yeah, like, hello.
Yeah. Good start to the intro.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Hi.
So good. Oh, this is all staying in here.
Oh, I love you, Ashton, so deeply.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Oh my
I
God.
can't help it. Okay, this is the real one. This is
No,
the
that was
real
the real one.
No, it's all in. This is all in. This is all in. Just go. Like,
Okay, well, first of all, everybody, they were making fun of me that I was peeking because of my hello. And my hello was like, hello! And it's like all loud. And then they're like, Ashton, you're peeking. And it's just on the hello. So now I'm just going to say hi. Hi, everyone. It's us. Welcome back. We're here. I'm joined by three comedians. These three comedians right here. The first one being Tessa Livingston. Say hi, Tessa. She can't. She's lost it.
I can. No one else can except me. I can.
Okay, Jordan, you say hi.
Hello.
Joined by Jordan
Hi.
Gribble, our wonderful producer. And also Deanna Cooney, who does love me. Apparently, that's what she says. I love her very much too. And then, of course, we've got Tessa, Tessa Livingston. Hello, ladies. How are we today?
Oh, a bit lightheaded now, actually.
oh, totally. My abs just got a mad workout.
Oh, we like to have fun here on the Good Talkers podcast. So today we're actually continuing a discussion that we started in our last episode that kind of went in a different direction we thought it was going to be. But today we're back on track. Today we are for sure dissecting a Scottish accent, seeing what is it about the Scottish accent that makes it Scottish. Can we replicate it? How can one replicate it? And just kind of like what's cool about it, what's different about it. Let's break it down and talk about it. Again, we are not experts on the Scottish accent. We're just curious human beings who love language and kind of want to see what makes different accents the way that they are. Yes, Deanna.
And if you're interested in, because someone might be listening to this without having to listen to the previous episode, if you're interested in a discussion about the ethics and like of performance and the industry and where it's like our opinions and ideas and a big discussion about the ethics of accents and using them and all that kind of stuff, go listen to the last episode because it's a freaking corker. It's really, really good.
It's a good one. It's a juicy one. Lots of good information, lots of good discussions. We didn't think we even needed, not that we didn't need to have them, but we just didn't think it was going to go there. And it turned out really insightful, at least to us, hopefully to you as well. But we're not going to go into any of that today. We're just going to get right into the accent work and see what kind of fun we can have with Scottish accents. But before we do that, I want to explain why we're starting with Scottish. I would love to explain why we're starting with Scottish. You see, I am currently in a production out here in Southern California called Fellowship. And it's actually a Lord of the Rings parody musical. It's been a blast. It's a super funny show. And I got cast as Gimli the Dwarf. And if you know Gimli the Dwarf, he's Scottish. So I was tasked to learn a Scottish accent that I did not know how to learn before. So I was frantically dialing up Tessa, asking for her help, and very quickly realizing how kind of complicated the Scottish accent is. But Tessa was very knowledgeable at helping me break it down, helping me find placement and all that. So that's kind of what we're going to go through today. So, yeah. Are we all
Love
ready?
it.
Great.
Terrified. Can't wait.
Stunning.
Tessa said this is her favorite day. Deanna says she's terrified. I cannot wait. This is going to be interesting. Okay. So let's start with, I think one thing that really helped me where Tessa started was with placement. Placement of the accent. And like, what does that mean? Like placement of the accent? Like what do we even talk about when we say that?
Yeah. Well, to start off with, if all of the stuff that I know about accents is from a book called How to Do Accents by Etta Sharp and Jane Hayden Rowles. If you're nerdy and want to get into how all of this stuff works, that's what I use. It's kind of like industry standard. It's like Accent Bible. It's so good. It's absolutely wonderful, and I've used a lot of that over my time. But the way that I break down accents, like from the core of everything, is that we get direction, zone, tone, setting. So each of those things together will help you figure out how to like put an accent into bits, rather than like hearing the full thing and being like, oh, I have to do that. Because that's really, really hard for me in my accent learning journey. Rhythm has been the thing that I've found the hardest to assimilate from other accents, and I've only just sort of figured out how to do it now. Like my ears have only really started keying in because of some tricks that I'm doing. So I will share those with you as well. Such fun. But I'm also feeling really sing-songy today. I don't know what that's about. Every time I go to say a sentence, I'm like, I want to do it like this. So that's happening a lot. Just prefacing that's where my brain is.
I'm not mad about it, Tessa. I'm not mad.
No,
I'm not mad about it too.
It.
But again, having spent a couple of weeks teaching children, lots of your, and I work by myself like 90% of the time, having a lot of your behaviours reflected back to you that you didn't know that you did all the time is quite confronting.
Wow.
And I was going to say quite confronting, but I don't know. No, but it didn't. So Ashton asked a fabulous question, which is talking about like placement, and what does placement actually mean? Placement for me directly relates to resonance. So what is the resonant space of the accent? Where is it resonating inside any of your given resonating chambers inside the body to produce a certain acoustic quality? So there's a fabulous diagram or a schematic of a sideways head. Actually, I turned off my mic when I said that, of a sideways head. Now I'll turn my head like this.
Profile. It's called a profile.
Profile, that way. Yes, thank you. That has different numbers and different resonating spaces from the pharynx, so the back of the throat, the oral cavity, and the nasal cavity, that help you figure out where different accents buzz, where their airflow is heading to help create those different acoustic qualities. So one of them, for example, is a 7. And the 7 lives in the nose, so it's like
Very Australian.
Very
well, extreme Australian.
Extreme Australian is what I would have said. For me, that's the Bronx accent. Bronx lives really far forward in the nose. Like when they say things like "what's," like this is like hypernasal, because if I block my nose, you get all of that. You get all that resonant change because so much of the airflow is coming through my nose. So, and I would say that Australian and American have a similar resonant quality, which would be a bit of 7. They have nasality. They're more nasal than other accents, but they have nasality. But they also have something like a 3, which is in the middle of the hard palate. So 1's at the front of the lips, 6 is at the back of the throat, 7 is in the nose, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 traveling across the palate towards the back of the soft palate. So, for example, these resonant qualities, I'll use people's accents in the room because that's the easiest for me. People's faces like, what's that? What? So Ashton, for example, when she's doing her American accent, I've got more nasality. I'm much brighter on my hard palate. I can feel that buzzing. But when I when I drop out to Australian, I feel quite similar. Like there's apart from the shape of my mouth doing something different, I can still hear all of that same resonant tone and quality. American's a little bit harder, like it's got a little bit more. Australian has a little bit less, but the generalized spot to me is still the same. Whereas mine and Jordan's accents live in the backs of our throats. Not so far down that they're all the way down, like really heavy, like they're not all the way back here. They're kind of forward a little bit, but they're definitely not nasal and forward, and they're definitely not light like British. So you can hear all of those shifts in the acoustic quality of my voice.
Yeah, that's so interesting because whenever I feel like I'm doing like a British accent or any like a lot of like British mostly, I feel like the pitch of my like my tone goes so much higher. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's just lighter, and that placement is different. And to me, like in my own head, it sounds lighter, but maybe it's
Probably
not
sounds
coming out
lighter
as
outside your
pitched
head
up.
as well.
I
Yeah.
think
It
also
may be.
what's probably happening is that you'll be using your resonant tone from your American, which has nasal, which gives perception of higher pitched voice. You're using a front placement of the lips, which gives a perception of higher pitched voice, and those two things in combination will be making your voice sound higher, when typically your general British doesn't have nasality. So those
Interesting.
two things in combination will be giving a heightened perception of pitch.
Well,
Right.
that makes
So-
sense because British people don't just speak in high pitch. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
no, they don't.
No, they don't.
So it's a combination of what your habitual patterns are and the new thing that you're trying to do. So
Yes.
what you're saying is if you don't completely shift your placement, then your pitch will get affected because you're still orienting yourself around parts of your own kind of native placement that generate a higher pitch. Is that right?
Yes, 100%. So if I'm talking in my, see if I can do this. If I'm talking in my typical accent now, and then I start shifting my voice forward into my British accent, I naturally sound lighter and higher pitched, but I haven't changed my pitch. All I've done is change my resonant placement.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it does. It just. Yeah,
It does
that's
sound
exactly what I
different,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, you've probably got combination of your original setting and your new setting causing a different outcome, unless what sometimes happens when people put on new resonant tones is that they'll laryngeal lift because
Yeah.
they're not quite sure what
Tension.
they're doing. Yeah, they'll get some tension. It'll come in through the jaw, through the tongue, different things like that, and their voice box goes up in the neck, which means that we end up with a higher pitch when we shouldn't. Lots of Kiwis, when they try general American accent, especially women, end up with a higher pitch voice. I'm like, put it back.
I think that possibly exists across all accent work initially when people are tense and stuff, probably, because all of the actors in my class at WAPA that I teach, they all say when I go into accent, my voice goes up in pitch. And I'm like, well, it's probably tension, right? Like the tension
Could
is
be.
dragging your larynx up a little higher. You
Yeah.
need to like release tension in your tongue root and see if you can like release tension through here, and that will change the way the accent sounds.
I get one of two things. I either get raised tension or I get backed tension where people's voices will crush rather than
yeah.
So
Yes,
I
that
get
makes
I get
sense.
one of both. Yeah. Ashton, do you have a question?
I did. Well, I know I had a comment because it's interesting that we're talking about that. However, when you started teaching me a Scottish accent, it's placed very differently, and it
Nice.
kind of
Yes,
has
Tess.
the opposite effect, in my opinion. It kind of almost makes you pitch down lower because
Yes,
of
it
the
would have.
placement.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So we can talk about the specifics of that
Yeah.
placement now. Yeah. So Scottish is to preface how I learnt Scottish, just by the way, it was before I thought I was okay at accents at all. I was in my year of drama school here in Auckland, and we got given an accent assignment. We got distributed an accent, and you had to learn it. You had to do it, and I chose to do Ewan McGregor's Scottish accent from Trainspotting. So I learnt his opening monologue. That's how I did. That's how I learnt my Scottish accent and how I learnt a lot of the placement. Because there definitely is some benefits to learning gender specific accenting. Lots of genders inside accents will do their placement different based on men and women. So, but I found that for this particular accent, I didn't need to do that. But some definitely you need to stay in the gender that you're trying to learn because things just feel very, very different. But for me, when I was learning the Scottish accent, it was that it is a very, very backed position. So we don't have a lot of nasality. There's not a lot of that nasal sound coming through. And it sits really low. And so if you follow your jawline with your finger and find the point at the back where it's like a triangle, the pointy bit, it's in there. It's in that space. So if I is the sound that I would use, and it's much lower than which is my natural sort of tone. I equate these to neutral thinking sounds. Every accent will think in a sound. Kiwis are like they're about here when they think. They'll say they've got that sort of sound. American is more it's more it's more up there. So the shaping has changed. Australians like so it's quite it's not as nasal, but it's the same like palatal sort of space. And Scots is it's really placed back here. So if you want to try and find it, you can do a hypernasal sound.
And go all the way back.
And go all the way back. See if you can find like a If you kind of do like a disgusted face, that kind of helps quite a bit. It's like a because it comes back further in the throat. Yeah, good. So I would always start teaching people about the zone, tone. Is it tone? Yeah, it's the tone. Or is it zone? Oh, I can never remember which one of the definitions of the things that it is. But I'd always start with the resonant quality, and my resonant quality always comes down to how does that accent think? Not how do they think inside their head, how do they think out loud? What is their verbal cueing for thinking? Because the worst thing you can see an actor do on stage is that they'll be doing an accent and then they forget their line and then they think out loud in their native accent and then they can't get back because their entire muscular setting has changed. It shifts. So you teach people to think in the accent, to think out loud in the accent, to and ah, so that it doesn't shift.
It's so interesting that you say that because I learned all of my lines really heavily with what I thought a good Scottish accent or like a Scottish accent that this dwarf would sound like. It's not necessarily me doing a Scottish accent. It's this male dwarf doing a Scottish accent. So I can't say it's like 100% accurate. Yeah. However, there is a point in the show where I am encouraged to improv, and it's kind of expected that I improv for a little bit, and so it's different every single night. Also, the position of the props that I am improving with change every night, and I don't know what they're going to be like, and so I walk in and I see them and I react and improv it. So it at first I was terrified. I was like, I don't know if I could do this because I don't know if I could keep the accent and improv at the same time. Yeah. However, I'm lucky that this is a parody. It's not a serious show. It's supposed to be all goofy and giggles and silliness. So if it's not perfect, it's fine. But it did incentivize me to practice more to make sure that I could improv and not just copy the accent line for line or like sound for sound syllabically, that I actually could understand it a little bit more to be able to improv this part.
And that's such a hard thing to manage because any acting coach or vocal coach will tell you if you're thinking about your voice while you're performing in regards to that, you're fucked. Yeah. You know, the acting's going to go out the window and so is your accent. Like it's just, there's going to be too many things to think about. So I always get people to get it really well ingrained in their musculature. And that is by having a safety default. And the safety default is thinking out loud in that accent. Because we're allowed to do that at any given moment. And it's like a really good reset. So for me, the Scottish one is It's really if you scrunch up your eyebrows and kind of like pull your face backwards,
That's so funny because when I'm doing the Scottish, I'm like pulling my eyebrows down and kind of pursing out my lips.
Yes.
Like this, but it's also because I'm wearing a mustache, so that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's fine. How much do you reckon the mustache helps you with the accent? Is it like you put the mustache on and now you talk Scottish?
It's honestly, it's like, hey, like I get down, hey, I am Gimli, like that's how I talk, like down there, and it's
so
different.
Fun. Yeah, that touches really well on the next thing that falls into this category of work, which is direction. So every accent, every culture, every person will have a generalized or a stereotypical directional energy. But this also depends on your bias. So, for example, if we talk about Kiwis and Americans, Kiwi accent energy is really laid back. It sits this way, it comes back this way. And that can be people can interpret those positively or negatively depending on their biases towards that kind of behavior and the culture that they've come from. But New Zealanders tend to sit back. We're kind of like chill, laid back, this sort of way. But Americans will see that as lazy. We don't engage. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got this natural bias whereas we see it as a positive thing. So that's how we engage with our directional energy, is by being sat back and laid back. If you talk about Americans in terms of their directional energy, it tends to be more driven. It tends to come more forward. It's got more of a forward energy. But if you talk to a Kiwi about that, the number one thing that we will say about Americans is obnoxious, because it's so opposing of our natural energetic direction. So it's really important to understand the stereotypical directional energy of an accent and then layer it on top of your character, because not all Americans drive forward, not all Kiwis sit back. But in terms of learning the shaping, that's really helpful. So for Scottish, the reason why pulling your head back is because they have a directional energy, which is backwards. They don't drive at you with their sound like an American will. So that's it's really interesting that you're physicalizing that without even really noticing. It's just something that happens. Yeah.
The direction I do is back and almost down.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
I'd agree with that,
like hard, like down, like I'm shifting down a little bit. Does that make
Yeah, putting all the weight in the bottom half of your body, sort of.
Yes. But if you talk to a Scottish person about that, they probably won't think about the back and down. They'll just feel kind of neutral.
Because that's where they live.
But that's where they live. But if they listen to a Russian person speak, they would think that they are backed and down.
Yeah.
Because of where, so this is all on a continuum. Yeah. Because sometimes people will send me clips of being like, oh, well, you said that the American accent does this, this, and this, but this actor says that it does this, this, this. And I'm like, because their natural accent started at this point on the continuum. So in comparison to your point on the continuum, it's different. Yeah. So you have to take all those considerations in. But so the directional energy would be, as Ashton has so aptly put it, is backed and down. We've kind of got this heavy sort of shoulder position that happens with the Scottish accent. So we've got this sound happening. We've got down shoulders and a backed head. You can kind of stick out your jaw a little bit. I find that a really helpful position. Not sure why. I think it features into the vowels. I'm gonna have to think. I've not done my Scottish accent in
It helps with the M sound.
It's going to help with a different sound coming up soon, which is one of the hardest ones to learn inside this one. So we've got
the O thing.
Yes, it is. It's the goat. It's the goat vowel. It's the goat vowel. Goat
it took me the longest, by the way. It took me. It's so long. It's so hard. Yeah.
It's so tricky. We'll come to that one in a moment, though. So we've got our resonant placement happening, which is our number. So in this one, our number tends to be a 5 or a 6. Yes, Deanna.
Well, while you were talking before, I just had a little bit of a play. And when I am back there, I can block my nose. My nose, and the sound is muffled, but it doesn't change in its vibratory quality.
Yes, and that's exactly what you're trying to achieve, because Scots don't have much nasality. Some will, but majority don't. And this is also playing differently to like being on stage. If you're a stage actor with a Scottish accent, you have to have nasality, otherwise your voice isn't going to carry. So there's lots of things with all of this. But in terms of a general stereotypical getting it to an 80 or 90% standard, these are the things that we need to think about. So we've got our direction happening, which is that backed and down. We've got our neutral thinking sound, sounding kind of like a back there, that sort of sound. And then sorry, my phone has been going off, like, and every time it goes off, it completely ruined my train of thought. Far out. That was awful. I'm so sorry, podcasters.
Come back in.
Come back in.
All right.
Come back in. We're here.
And scene. And go.
Scene. So setting. That's what I was after. So next we have our setting, which is the way that your muscles are going to set and stay for that accent. So I always use General American as my kind of like anchor point, because lots of people know what it is, they know what it sounds like, and it's really easy to jump on board with. So when Kiwis talk, we have quite for anyone watching the videos of these podcasts, you'll notice that as all of us speak, we all have very different ways that our mouth will move. For me, in a Kiwi accent, I have a very narrow jawline, so my jaw doesn't open a lot when I talk. It's really narrow. I have more lip rounding than most Kiwis, but if you watch Jordan talk, his lips don't round as much as mine do. They're much more flat, which is much more typical of a Kiwi speaker. I have always had a little bit more lip rounding, and that's because of my personality as opposed to me like being a part of the stereotypical portion of the culture. So I have this shaping going on. It's also more feminine to move your lips more for dynamic range than it is masculine. Masculine moves less and has less dynamic range, depending again on the culture. So that's typical for Kiwis. And then for Australian, for example, Deanna's lips barely touch when she speaks. It's like she's constantly in a smile shape. You'll notice
that might be my personality as well, though.
It also might be your personality, but it is also very stereotypical of the Australian accent. Whenever I teach Australian, my jump phrase is like and wide. And if I can say wide with the middle of my lips touching on a flat surface, I've nailed it. Like and
Really?
wide.
Wide.
Yeah, wide. I would say wide, and my lips would come together and round.
Wide.
Whereas yours don't.
Wide. They hardly even touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Wide.
If
I can
if
do
you're at
without them
home-
touching. Wide.
Yeah, you
They
can.
didn't touch.
No, they don't. No, they don't. If you're at home, a great way to test this is to take your index finger and place it on the tip of your nose, like you're about to say shh to somebody, and say the words wide, wide world, and see if your lips kiss your finger or if they don't.
Wide, wide world.
Wide,
Not even
wide
close.
world.
Ashton's won't.
Wide, wide world.
They will a little bit for
It
you.
depends
I
on
was
how-
checking for lipstick on my finger.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be touching my chin with my hand, or
You
is
can
it like?
you can a little bit.
Because if I just go straight down from my nose, wide, wide world, it doesn't touch. But if I bring it back here and say wide, wide world, I'm kissing my finger.
Yes.
Right. Like.
Yeah, so don't let it touch the chin too much, but you don't want to be like out on an
Yeah.
angle either.
Yeah.
But what we're testing here is probably a better way to describe that then, Deanna, is the sense of pressure you get from your lips touching your fingers. Because for those who lip round, you'll get more pressure.
Yeah.
For those who don't, you won't. You can also have a look if you're looking in a mirror when your finger's there, assessing how much your lips go from a wide position to a narrow position. And how much they do this. So if I do it in my accent, wide, wide world, you can see how much my cheeks are coming in. But if I do it in Deanna's accent, wide, wide world, it doesn't at all. So you can see the changing of the shape of the lips. Yes, Ashton.
Mine only touch on world because of the R, because of the hard R. Wide, wide world.
Yes, and you do typically have to, with that vowel and consonant combination, you'll have to do it to
Do
get
more
that.
more rounding
to get the more rounding because of the vowel, not because of the consonant, but it's the
That's
combination
so
of the
interesting.
two.
So in an
Okay.
American accent, we're saying wide, wide world. Like we're
Yeah,
doing two different W's.
Yeah. But notice how
Yeah.
much when you said wide, wide, it's like the internal side of your lips came forward rather
Wide,
than the
wide
front of your lips.
world.
So if I say
Yeah.
wide, wide, you can see how my lips are closing. But if
Yeah.
I say wide, wide world in an American, it's like they flare out and they open in a different way.
And if I say it in Australian, wide, wide world, they're basically the same.
Nothing. No, I don't. So that's how you can assess this at home. So when we're doing accents, we really want to know how our lips are moving. We have rounded, neutral, and unrounded. Unrounded is Australian. Neutral is Kiwi, is your American. And more rounded is your Kiwi, depending on where you're from. But there's variation inside all of those. But Kiwi is more rounded than American. American's less rounded. So we're looking at this. We're also looking at our jaw height. Americans talk with a wider set jaw, so there's more space between their molars than there is in other accents. So Kiwis have a narrow jaw and Americans have a wider jaw. And the way that I teach this is that you take two fingers, place them between your teeth, and basically I get people to talk like this, and I get them to pull their jaw down doing American.
And just talk like this.
And just talk like this. So I always get people to say, oh my God, because we need that wide.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, so an American directional thing with their jaw, you have to open vertically. You have to get it nice and wide.
Mhm.
When I'm talking about Australian, though, I won't get you to open your jaw much, and I'll just get you to kick your lips sideways, get you to smile, and that'll help you sit there. So when we're doing the Scottish accent, Ashton, what's your? Oh no, you've got a mustache. It's hard for you to know.
It's hard because I have a mustache on. I have
hard 'cause you've got a
I have two beards. I've got like one giant beard
Dos
that
beards.
goes all the way down, and then I've got a smaller beard that like sits more over my face.
Amazing.
My
Wow, it's a
like
little beard.
mustache and goatee, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like specific lines that I say. One that you really helped me with is goblins poison their arrows.
Goblins poison their arrows, right? So I'll just do it. When I'm doing my Scots accent, my lips don't really round at all. They don't move.
Oh, they don't move.
Except for poison their arrows.
I have to for that p to come together.
Mhm.
But what's happening there is that my lips aren't as wide as they are when I do Australian. They come together, but they're not rounding. They're not rounding a whole heap. So we're kind of in that more of that neutral position. But what you'll sense with this one is that the jaw just doesn't open. The jaw is so narrow.
Yeah.
It's so closed. It's really similar to Kiwi for that. And that's what helps give us our resonant placement. It's really far back. So if I'm talking about...
I have to close down from where I naturally sit.
You've got to have less
little bit.
less activation in your lips in terms of being taut and pulled. They need to, your cheeks need to feel softer.
Soft.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's so interesting because I feel like I'm tightening everything.
yes, you will
You know
be.
what I mean?
You'll
Because
be,
I am. I'm tightening everything.
Because your bias is from your natural accent, which has this, and Deanna's is from a different direction again. So if we're talking about setting, I would have a narrow jaw. I would have softened neutral lips, and I wouldn't have rounding. But the jaw is going to help determine what my lips are doing as well. But so because I've got a closed jaw, I'm not going to do quite as much, and I'm really far back in the throat. So those are kind of like the two main ones that I would sit with there when it comes to the setting. And then we've got all the vowels and the consonants to play with, which is just delightful fun. So if I was to do some of my Scottish accent, which is from, I should probably pull up that monologue because I can't remember what it actually says. But I would say, choose leaf, choose a job, choose a career. And
that's one of the phrases you gave me that really helped.
Choose life, choose a job, choose a career, because they've got really... see how I naturally chose to sit with something that was not mine. Is not something I say in my real life. I have to sit really flat.
Is what you say in your real life. You just did it then.
Yeah. So, and that's because I'd been talking in my Kiwi accent, come down to it, and then had to figure out how to switch back out. Because I haven't done my Scots in ages, so it's not very set in my muscles. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career. And you can hear that a lot in my accent has really, like, I sound much darker. I sound much heavier, deeper resonance.
Nowhere
deeper
near
pitch.
as much dynamic range.
Nowhere near as much. You can still get dynamic range, but it's not in the same way. It's much more, it's like the tongue is deciding like where each of that's going, rather than going like pitch and up and down in your intonation. It's kind of like, it feels more intense. Intense, is that right? Oh, I don't know. Than the rest of it. So it's like it's got that sort of shape going. That's my Scots accent.
Let's talk about some of the like specific things that are like specific to Scottish, like those little like things that make Scottish dynamics. Like we talked about that O, that curious O, or the fact that they like roll their R's, which was really difficult for me because I can't roll my R's, so I kind of had to figure out ero, like that ero, like it's still not 100%, but so it's better.
You definitely
than I could do before.
You roll your R's because you have a molar R for your American accent, but Scots has a tapped or a trilled R, which means that the tongue is doing a double hit on the roof of the mouth when it goes to say an R. So what's the word? Murder is a really good one.
Murder.
Ero. You can hear that my tongue's going like duh when it comes across. It's like a double duh.
Yeah.
Ero. Yeah. It's not arrow, which would be arrow, which is, so you can feel your tongue tip curling back and coming all the way back into the mouth. Whereas when you say arrow like that, my tongue tip is whacking the roof of my mouth instead to produce a tapped R, not a molar R, which is what the Americans have. So a great way to get into that is to go tada 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 tada. Did you find it, Deanna?
Fuck yeah. I mean, I think I already had it. It just was soft and weak and not well
specified,
activated.
Right? Yeah.
Arrow.
Murder is one of the hardest words to say in Scots. Murder.
I was having trouble.
Yeah, it's hard.
I was having trouble with poison.
Right, poison. It's because it doesn't have a lot of... You think that the oi sound should have a lot of emphasis in it. Poison, if I say it in American, oi, the diphthong is quite big, so the dual-sounded vowel. So you'd get oi going quite rounded to pulled back. Yeah. But with Scots, if I'm using that same vowel, it's oi. It's nowhere near as big. Poison. So the shape of the length of the diphthong is smaller. The length of that double vowel is smaller, and it's less pronounced. It's way faster.
The difference between the position of each sound is much closer together as well. It's not like oi is like, it's really clear. There's two sounds in there.
There's two sounds.
But oi is like oi
so
is different.
Plays directly into the setting. So the setting for American is wide jaw, really heightened active tongue.
So you have to move a lot to make the sound.
Ha ha! Correct. But
because you're covering all that ground.
Because you're covering all of that ground. But with the Scottish accent, because I have a closed jaw setting, it means my tongue is less active, which means the margin with which I have to make those distinctions is much smaller. Therefore, the vowels will be faster. Depends on what you're working with.
It's like taking a little tiny step rather than a big long stride.
Yes, absolutely. But it depends on the different vowels. So mouth, for example, and goat. Is it goat? oh, mo. Yeah, both of those two are really hard to do in Scottish, because where you find the space for those are not in the oral, it is in the oral cavity because it's all in the same space, but it's not the above tongue space, it's the below tongue space.
Get out.
So when you say mo, oh, I'm having to drop my base of tongue further into my mouth and bounce back up. Whereas in American, I would say ow, ow. So my tongue height is coming up and down, whereas for Scottish, oh, it's coming down and bowling and coming back up to neutral.
Oh.
And I still can't do that very well.
No.
It's really
so
hard.
Oh.
It's really hard. It's one of the hard. It is. I would say that and the tap da are the hardest in Scots. So if I do it slowly, oh, can you see how my tongue? You can see my tongue
movement, like your larynx moves, your tongue root shifts.
Because my base of tongue is pushing my larynx out of the way because I need that space.
Just make the most ridiculous sound. I tried to do it and I went,
For those of you who are just listening to this episode, I would highly recommend that you trade over and go to the YouTube version because it just makes so much more sense.
If you can
But it's, so if you have a look at my mouth really intensely, and it's so fun teaching this because I'm always like, everybody, look at my mouth, please. It's quite stressful. I have a toothbrush in my bag constantly. As a voice teacher, you just have to. I'm not going to be that voice teacher that has like rubbish teeth and breath, I just can't. That's not going to be me when I'm getting people to hyper focus on my face all the time. But if you have a look at it when I say it, you can see my tongue disappearing and then coming back up. Oh is really hard as well. Oh, goat. So that's goat. Oh no. Right. Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a goat.
Choose a goat.
Job.
Yeah.
I find that easier than the other one.
Yes, mouth is definitely harder than goat. Now, the reason I'm saying mouth and goat, by the way, everybody, there is a lexical set of words that are really helpful for learning accents. It's called the kit list, and each word will represent a different type of vowel across English-speaking dialects. And if you can learn the kit list in the accent that you're doing, you'll be able to transfer it to all of your other words. So the reason I'm using mouth and goat is because they are the core fundamental vowel words for those vowel sets. So you go and find them that way. Yes, Ashton.
So another thing that really helped me that you offered me was some I don't know if they have like they're like lexical phrases, I guess. I don't know, like there's some specific phrases that you gave me. You're like, work on these, say these over and over, and it's gonna help your, I don't know, like it's gonna help your mouth hole. We're gonna bring back the mouth hole word. It's gonna help your mouth hole like form, like get used to the sounds and get used to saying these and moving in a way it's not normally used to moving.
Yeah, it would have been lexical sets. So it would have been sets of the same vowel using the same just with different like consonants and things put in different places to help. So like if it was mouth, for example, it'd be mouth, tooth, growth. Like they wouldn't be real words. They'd be just shapes to help you repeat with slightly different consonants. Yeah. Sometimes people use things called minimal pairs, which that's more of a speech therapy thing, but it's the same concept. It's exactly the same concept.
We also had a really interesting discussion when this whole started, because I was trying to do a Scottish accent. And if you remember,
yeah, I do.
It kept coming out Jamaican. I don't know why.
I know why. It happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us. I had to do a French accent for something once, and I came off stage, and I think I was like 17. My brother was like, "You sounded Jamaican the whole time." I was like, "Ooh."
So like sounding Jamaican is a thing around accents, not just.
Some people like have a couple that they'll always default to, and I don't know what it is about Jamaican, but it just seems to happen, and I think it's actually a rhythm thing. Because Jamaican has so much up and down rhythm, and I think when you can't find the rhythm that you want, it's easy to find something that's like big and ups and downsy. And I think Jamaican just naturally has that. That's my interpretation of that. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Wowzers.
If somebody knows anything more about that, please let me know. But so many people doing an accent end up sounding Jamaican, and I don't know what that is.
That's happened to me before, though, too, when I was trying to do a German accent. So I don't know if I just default to Jamaican. I don't even know how to. If you asked me to do a Jamaican accent, I probably couldn't do it on the spot.
We'd have to ask you to do German instead or something.
Yeah, definitely. If you ask me to do German, straight Jamaican.
But half of the time, I think it's a rhythm problem. So if I'm thinking about my accent in terms of rhythm, if you look at it as a line, if you get people to say particular phrases like I'm going to the shops, a Kiwi will have da 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 da. It has like a couple of rises throughout the middle, whereas Ashton's might sound like da 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 da. It goes down has more of a downward direction, and Deanna, yours is more similar to Kiwi, but you guys tend to rise more
up.
at the.
I'm going to the shop.
Yeah, I'm going to the. So you go da da da. I'd go da da da, and Ashton would probably go da 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 da. That's how I start here. That's how you start listening for rhythm. So if I was listening to a Scottish person say that, they say, "I'm going to the shops," da 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 da. I've got like a different kind. I've kind of got like a longer rhythm rather than it sounds more musical in that sense.
Would you consider it a reasonable approach to learn the rhythm, even like sort of before you get really good at the shapes of the vowel sounds and that kind of thing, right? Like I'm wondering if, like for me, I think that would be a really good place to start. Like placement is really important for me because I'm really physically oriented. I'm like, so any physical cues are really helpful for me, but also the musicality of it.
Yeah.
The cadence really is what I'm thinking, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That I think I would find easy to fall into. And I reckon that's what I mimic when I wind up in other countries and I wind up accidentally kind of copying the accent of the people around me. I think what I'm mimicking is the rhythm, the cadence more than the sounds. And then the sounds start to show up a bit later as I practice it more.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Rhythm was one of the last things that I've learned how to hear. And what I have found with that is that's because I had to take language out. And that's because I'm so sound orientated in terms of like the shaping of muscularity and all of those sorts of things. All I could hear were the words. Yeah. And once I took the words away, da 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 da, and started using da da in that space, I was able to hear rhythm so much better because I wasn't focusing on the phonetic structure of the sounds or the vowels or any of those sorts of things. So that's what I found really helpful.
But probably you're the exception, not the rule, as in probably. Where most people who are more attuned to like musical sounds or like used to hearing music might pick up on that like rhythmic musical, part of an accent or a language even like faster than someone who was concentrating on something else.
Yeah, exactly. And rhythm's really important to culture as well. I've got a few talent that I'm working with who have accents that have really, really strong rhythms from their culture, and they will have the consonants and the vowels 100% correct, but the rhythm is wrong. And because it's such a strong rhythm, it's really hard to, even though it's technically right, it's still wrong. It's really bizarre.
I reckon that's one of the things that people get wrong about the Australian accent, lots and lots and lots. Like making the shapes is hard, but making shapes in any other accent is hard because it's it's different to your own, right? But the placement of emphasis and the cadence, like the inflection patterns, those two things, you can hear that. And it's really interesting, right? Because I heard someone say something once about accents, talking about how it's not the people who don't have that accent that are going to hear you if you're not perfect, if you're trying to be a native like accent speaker, right? And it'll be the people, obviously, the people that speak the accent or use that accent because they have a deeper kind of like understanding of it. But it happens at a subconscious level. Yes. It's not even we're not conscious of what we're hearing, but we're hearing stress misplaced and we're hearing cadence like not accurate. And our whole being goes, no, you are not right. You are pretending.
Yep. And that's why my Australian is only 80% because all of my shaping is correct majority of the time. I don't know what the rhythm is yet because also I have I have a difficulty with accents I have spent a lot of time with or voices I have spent a lot of time with. I have a hard time dissecting them if they're personally close to me. I've got a lot of I lived in Australia for a little bit. So, and it was before I knew how to do all of these things. So sometimes I have like little blocks to stuff like that. And someone will talk and I'm like, are they Australian or are they Kiwi? Oh my God, I can't, because it's...
Oh, that's so funny because, I mean, this is why you send me things and go, hey, what are you hearing here? sometimes.
Yep, because it'll be an accent that has a bit of a strange bias on my ears or the way that I learnt before I'd learnt things, and I go, oh, I just can't get there. Yeah.
Well, my Australian accent is probably at 0%. I am not good at either an Australian accent or a Kiwi accent, which is why I think we should continue this accent discussion across more episodes. Maybe we should break down a little bit more of Kiwi, a little bit more of Australian, and even maybe a little bit American.
Yes.
And maybe even different kinds of American. I think this could be a really interesting conversation. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today, team.
Oh no.
We're wrapping up. And because we did so many sounds today, we're going to skip sounds I can't make. But hopefully next time we'll be able to get to it. But we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Yes, Tessa?
I was going to say, should we maybe do just like a tiny bit of Scottish accent all together on like 3 phrases so that everyone can have a little turn at it to do sounds I can't make? Is that okay on the time, or am I going to be told to stop?
You guys can do it, but I've got to go to a meeting.
Oh, Jordan's got to go. Oh,
yeah, so
he's got to take off.
I've got to love and leave you, but I can just turn my video off and you guys can finish whenever you like.
Should we just have a quick little run round of the accent? Do you want to?
Do it.
I'm happy.
Do it.
I'm happy.
Yeah, let's do it real quick.
Okay, awesome.
See, Jordan planned this, so he didn't have to do it. See,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, very well.
He let us talk for ages, and like right at the last minute, he's like, "Oh, by the way, guys, we're gonna go.
See you later, suckers."
Bye, Jordan.
All right, see you guys next time. Love it.
Bye.
See ya.
I think he's lying.
A little bit of podcast management going on there.
Okay, so let's do a round robin of us each trying out the accent. See if we can do it.
I think so. If we're gonna set it, I always tell people to set first. So where's that resonant placement? It's right at the back of the throat. What are the shoulders doing? What's the directional energy? Drop that back out as well. What's that neutral thinking sound? And then thinking about the jaw and the tongue. What are they doing? Are they wide? Are they not? What are the lips doing? Those bits and pieces. So your jaw is really narrow. Your lips are quite unactive. I wouldn't say that they're widened. They're sort of in that neutral space. And the tongue has really precision movements because it doesn't have a lot of space to operate with. So I would use this phrase here. Okay, choose life, choose a job, choose a career. And that would be my phrasing.
Okay.
I feel very much at a disadvantage here, but that's okay.
You do have practice. Not as much as you think. Not as much as you think. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career.
Good. If I was going to get you to do that again, make those vowels longer. Choose life.
Choose life.
Choose a job.
Choose a job.
Choose a career.
Choose a career.
And then what I'm going to get you to do is take your finger, actually, no, I'm going to do it this way. Can I get you to put your hands on your cheeks like this? So I'm just getting Ashton to put her 4 fingers on her cheeks because when she was doing it, her face was really active, which is going to reshape the sound. So the differences between this, choose life, which I can hear action from you happening, versus choose life, choose a job, choose a career. So I don't want your face to move at all, Ashton.
Choose life. Choose a job, choose a career.
Cool. Much closer, but I can see your lips trying
My
to...
lips are
They're working so hard.
Ashton's like cheating and she's like...
you look like you were kissing the whole time. Choose life. That was amazing.
Yeah. So just like, you could even do this to them. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career. So I'm actually now getting Ashton to like hold... Grab your lips, Ashton. Grab your lips. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career.
Choose life. Choose a job, choose a career.
So it's getting closer. So I can still... So now what happens is that because we took that articulator out of the space, another articulator was like...
It was flapping around like it was trying to go.
Your tongue tried to heighten, which was hilarious. So fabulous. Thank you very much, Ashton.
That was so good.
In my defense, thank you. But in my defense also, the purposes of my Scottish accent that I have learned was for stage.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I'm still also trying to be understood by a mass audience. So
and you have And you have a massive beard over your face, so you have to over-articulate and overshape and like make the sound more clear and all of the bits. Yeah.
Yeah. You're also talking to an audience that probably isn't familiar with a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
So,
they're probably not going to. I've not had one person come up to me and be like, "That's not a real Scottish accent." No, they're just like, "Oh, yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. You talk different than you do right now."
Yeah.
So
Wow.
fun.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Would you like a prompt sentence, Deanna? Would you like me to hear it? Would you like me to do it again?
Choose life. Choose a job. Job? French.
Job.
That's where I go. Choose a job. Job. Choose a career.
Yeah. So I can. Your cheeks and your jaw are trying to pull back a whole heap.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing for you. Fingers on, and you can kind of like sigh into it. Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career.
Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career.
Yeah, that was better. That was way better. For both of you, the job was quite
Job.
Job.
It still sounds Australian to me. Job.
They're very similar in their placement. Really similar.
I think I'm trying real hard to make it very different.
Yes.
To what I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm probably overdoing certain things because I'm trying to make it sound not like me.
Yeah. Which is fun. I like that. But if we're not like me this way, just
Not
smile
like
heaps when
me.
you say not like me.
Not like me.
Not like me.
Not like me.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Choose a job.
that's
Choose
contrastive practice for
Life.
those of you.
Mm.
Life.
Life.
Yeah.
life. Choose a career.
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 That R is so hard.
Career.
Grr, it does so many things.
Career.
Yeah, but for all of you at home practicing, choose life, choose a job, choose a career, and it'll be fucking fantastic. Just go for it.
Choose life. Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career.
Yeah, I can see your jaw, and it's like that your tongue inside your jaw is locking up because it wants to move, and you're not letting it move, and you're stopping it from move. So I wonder if this. She's life, she's a dog, she's life, she's a job, she's a... Yeah, so if you go tongue out and try and say it.
She's life,
she's a dog, she's a career. And then in just sort of kind of like tongue tip just over the bottom row of teeth.
Choose a job, choose a
career. And then tongue tip gently aiming towards the bottom row of teeth, but no restriction. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career.
Choose life, choose a job, choose a career.
Yeah, closer. Oh, the career was awesome.
Career.
Yeah,
it felt really good. It just like by the time I got there, it just felt easy. That's interesting. Yeah, cool.
Because lots of people will think that, like, people say that about the Kiwi accent as well, that it's lazy. It's so fucking precise.
Oh, man.
It's more precise.
It's harder. Well, but that's because it's harder to have clarity with less movement and less
engagement. You've got a smaller target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also difficult for someone who is not from that area of the world. It's hard for me to distinguish sometimes between the specifics of your two accents. I know that I hear the difference, but for me to try to logically figure out what the differences are, they're a lot more subtle to an untrained ear than you would think.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is where Australian and Kiwi accents have the advantage, because we are increasing our movement, whereas American is decreasing their movement, and it's harder to go in the opposing direction. It's like the pin and pen argument. You say that to an American half the time, they're like, those are the same words.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, you just said the same thing.
No.
What's the difference?
The other thing about Tessa and I and our accents is I don't sound all of the time classically Australian. Like I have quite a shaped Australian accent. It's quite like I've done things to change the way that, I mean, I can talk more Australian, like I can really like drop back into it, and then I can also take it into like parody land, right? Like I've got that all available to me, right?
Yeah.
But as a general rule, when I talk, I'm it's quite soft. The strong elements of Australian are quite soft, right? And Tess is the same with her New Zealand accent. So, like, if there's a crossover point between Australian and New Zealand, Tessa and I are really close to it because we don't live in the outer ranges of the way the accent can be shaped, like the extremity of the shaping.
I often get asked if I'm British.
Oh, me too, all the time.
I get asked if I'm British because I have a different way of pronouncing.
It's because we've been colonised.
It's because that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. Yeah,
But
so I sound like that.
I get that too, not in the accent way, but because I grew up in theater and was really taught
So
to be
your diction's really
articulate.
good.
Yeah, my diction's really good, and it's I'm not lazy or like marble mouthed, like some other Americans can be.
Yes.
So but it also works against me, especially in certain spaces, because they want me to be more conversational, and you got to take all those like proper pieces away. They want you to like mess it up. I always get that no. Okay, but mess it up more.
I get that note as well.
It's hard for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not how I talk.
Oh my God.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh God, all your teas are amazing. They were in every spot they should have been.
Don't
I know.
like it.
I don't like it.
It was hammered into me. Like you say all the sounds in all the
My
words.
mum did that to me too. Like, and it's really, that's one of the things that made me a really, really strong like retail voiceover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my articulation is fucking tight, so I can go fast and I can put lots of words in place and everyone can still hear everything I say, because my mum taught me to articulate every, like there was no gonna in my house or wanna. There was want to, there was going to, right?
There's
like,
no what? It's excuse me.
Yes. If I went nah, if I went what? Mum would go, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh,
Mine too.
what?
My family as
and then
well.
she'd go, excuse me? And I go, sorry, what did you say? Like, I have to say the whole fucking
Stuff
thing.
like that. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So good.
So interesting. So good. This was a really fun discussion. I had a good time. I don't know about all y'all, but I had a great time. I learned a lot actually, Tessa, from you. Like even when I was setting up this episode, I feel like I didn't even know what to ask. So like I'm glad that you brought like a bunch of knowledge to the space, because I didn't even know like the things. I was just like, placement, vowels. Yeah, we'll talk about that stuff. But like, I didn't even know like the rest of it. So I feel very enlightened. And I'd love to keep going on this accent talk. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
We're kind of languagey nerds, and I hope you enjoy it all too. But we are going to say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in again. We really did talk about the Scottish accent this time. See, I told you we really did it this time. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to reach out to us, let us know your Scottish accent. Like, give it a try. Let us know how it worked out. See if any of these tips and tricks like worked for you, if you were doing it alongside us. Reach out to us on all of our socials, or you can email us at thegoodtalkerspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know how this worked out for you, or if there's any other accents like you have trouble with that you want us to like help you break down. Let us know. And we love you. We really do. From the bottom of our hearts. We really do. We love and appreciate you. And I also love and appreciate you too. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.